Hey, what's up, boys and girls? We're going to talk about a fragrance today from the man, the myth, the legend, Terence Hughs. And I reviewed my first fragrance with him a day or so ago, and I'm very impressed. So I have high hopes for this next one. Go ahead and strap up. Let's go for that ride.
Okay, doing it for two. I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You are on top, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I'm your host for the evening. Today, from the house of Terence Hughs, we have Hard Candy. This is not the elixir. This is just the standard, probably eau de parfum or extrait. His fragrances are intense, so they got to be eau de parfums at bare minimum, but they feel like extraits. Let's go ahead and load up the test strip here. Hard Candy. He's very thoughtful about making sure that everything makes sense, that the titles, when he reviews other people's fragrances, he's looking at the description and he's wanting to connect the fragrance concept to the marketing, the title, as a brand, any story they have with the material. So he never unintentionally or kind of half-butt titles anything. So if this is Hard Candy, that's what he wants you to experience. Okay. Very sweet and vanillic. In a weird way, it reminds me of a Hard Candy version of like Dior Homme Parfum, like the new 2025 Dior Homme Parfum. Yeah. The 2025 Dior Homme Parfum is very candied, but it also has that slightly powdery, silky texture to it, whereas this one literally feels like hard candy in terms of the texture. Like it's a dense airiness, which is like what hard candy would smell like. I imagine those like crystal looking hard candies. When I was a kid, we used to go to the mall and go to the candy store, and they would have all these different jars. They'd have the sour strips, different gummy stuff, chocolatey stuff, nutty stuff. And then there were next to the fruit strips, there would always be this crystallized hard candy. And that's what I imagine is the vibe here. And if you put your nose in one of those jars, it smells exactly like this. So shout outs to him for nailing that texture in terms of the weight of the fragrance. However, as beautifully balanced and as projective, and I can just tell this has a monstrous level of like smooth sillage to it. It does smell very familiar to a lot of DNAs, specifically DHP, so Dior Homme Parfum. It's very, very close to that scent profile. I'm trying to look on my shelf if there's anything else close to it. It's got a floral powder to it. There's another fragrance, maybe like L'Homme Ideal Extreme from Guerlain, in that lane, but mostly DHP. But it's a great balanced fragrance. It would be redundant to get something like this, especially for the price point. I think it's $100 for 10 ml, which is insane. I know a lot of people try to counterbalance that argument by saying, well, hey, all it takes is one or two sprays with an ATH fragrance. Yeah, I get it. But, unfortunately and fortunate here. Unfortunately, all of these are overpriced from a consumer standpoint because you're not really paying for extra. You're paying for brand and the fact that he's from the United Kingdom and is independent, so he makes very limited batch stuff, and it comes every time his stuff comes back out, people snatch it up like crazy. Now, the product is good and it warrants a high ticket value, but I think that if he was mass supplier and he was charging like this, like if this was in a Neiman's or something, I think it wouldn't be a supply and demand issue and he would have priced himself out of the market. But the fact that he does such limited quantity kind of warrants the price value because he knows he can get it. Now, granted, I respect it because the fragrances are that good so far. You know you're not getting trash, you're really getting treasure when you buy a fragrance like this, but it's a fleeting experience when you spend $100 for a 10 ml, right? Not a lot of people are going to spend the 300-ish bucks for, what is it, a 30 ml, maybe a 50? I don't know, but if I'm going to buy an Terence Hughs fragrance, I want the maximum amount of juice, and I don't want to have to pay with shipping and all that stuff. I do know that there's either Lucky Scent or Scent Split. One of those, or, oh no, Max Aroma carries them. But real quick, I'm going to just take a look here. Matter of fact, I've talked about it enough. Let's switch screens here to the window. I'm going to search this for Max Aroma just so we can see what we're getting in the ballpark of. So a 50 ml of hard candy. So it's out of stock, obviously. A 50 ml of hard candy is how much? Do we know? I really hope I'm not just blind here. 178 for a 50 ml. Okay, I mean that's super fair priced. I'm not going to hate on that. That's a fair price for that quality. If it's a 50, sure. Okay. I take everything back about that. If you can get a 50 ml for around the $200 price point, I think it's absolutely money well spent. What I know it's just, you know, a 10 ml for 100. It's basically like, man, get a USA distributor so people can tap into your product. But this is high-end perfumery. I can't even complain, really. I'm really just upset because I want it my way, right? I want access to the product, and I want to get more than 10 ml of juice. Okay, now, I don't think, I mean, I know I wouldn't buy hard candy. You know, the profile of it is so reminiscent of so many fragrances that at the price point it's at, you get Dior Homme Parfum 2025, you are set. Or if you want a more masculine, matured version, a little less candied, a little more serious, but still sweet and seductive, you would go with L'Homme Ideal Extreme or L'Homme Ideal by Guerlain. But it does smell like hard candy, so bravo on matching that DNA. I just think it's so reminiscent. Let's go back out here of other stuff. Lavender, mint, orange, lemon, orange on top. Vanilla, tonka bean, strawberry, honey, and nutmeg. Agarwood, patchouli, sandalwood in the base. I mean, I certainly get a lot of what's going on here. I just think that when you have notes like lavender, tonka bean, vanilla, honey, sandalwood, those are notes that really kind of whitewash everything in their scent profile. So you don't really get to, yeah, it's pretty much transparent from test strip to skin. It's just a little bit warmer, but I feel like with that note profile, I can't really tell you guys that I can make out the strawberry and stuff. Like right here in an analytical mode, I can get all the notes individually. The mint is very faint. It's more spearminty, but the dry down and out in the air, you kind of just get this honeyed strawberry lavender mint vibe that feels virtually 90% close to Dior Homme Parfum or L'Homme Ideal Extreme. Now, L'Homme Ideal is what I call cherry almond champagne. And Dior is, you know, I believe lavender, but mostly iris and vanilla. So it's kind of interesting. I think the strawberry honey aspect of it, tonka, kind of sandalwood, kind of throws you in the Guerlain space, but then the lavender, mint, vanilla is what leans Dior. But overall, this feels very glued together. You don't smell all the different facets in the air. You just kind of get this creamy sandalwood, Dior Homme Parfum vibe. In the air on the opening, it smells more like hard candy, and then it feels like it dries down to Dior or Guerlain. As a fragrance, I give it an 8. It's not that interesting. It's not that new and innovative. It's quite a copycat of a lot of ideas, but it is perfectly balanced from an artistry standpoint. It's very flawless. Great performance, great sillage, longevity scores are off the charts. So it's a strong, long-lasting beast mode romantic fragrance. I just feel like it's super redundant. So I think niche heads would call it a 7 because nothing new is occurring here. But just from a perfumery standpoint, it's certainly above average in the marketplace of stuff that smells like this. I think Dior Homme Parfum is better, the new 2025 release. However, not much, but for its price point, it just totally makes sense over this one. You'll make a case for any season, any reason. This isn't really a season fragrance. It's a vibe and occasion fragrance, date night, semi-formal type of vibes. It has romance in the air. I think it's probably perfectly unisex. Yep, it's a unisex fragrance, which I do feel. And I've always felt the Dior Homme Intense line and Dior Homme Parfum is unisex as well. It's just one of those fragrances men have adopted as a masculine fragrance, but women can totally wear it. It has more female attributes than masculine attributes to me. But yeah, any season, any reason. It's more of a nighttime, cold weather, romantic type of speed. And I place it in the date, romance, and semi-formal categories. I don't really want to put a fragrance like this in upscale casual because I would never wear Dior, DHP, or DHI, or even Gentleman Reserve Privé or Valentino Uomo Intense. I wouldn't really wear. The most one I would wear casually is the Valentino, but even then, like, I like my irises to be romantic. I don't think iris will never not be romantic. But anyways, 8 out of 10 from me. Solid fragrance. I respect the perfumery. Unicorn was way more unique and complex. But you're not always trying to knock it out the park with every fragrance. Every fragrance fits a place and time and the direction of the perfumer and all that jazz. But it's masterfully made with all the boxes checked that you want. It's just these boxes have been checked before. Let me know if you guys have put your nose to ATH's Hard Candy and what other ones you want me to look at, because I think that's the last one I have. We'll probably pick some other ones up later. I do want to say that despite all my opinion about Terence Hughs, this particular fragrance got a 4.5 out of 5 out of 358 votes. I don't know if I trust votes right now with Aaron because there's this nostalgia and hype around his brand where I feel like he can do no wrong. The Fragrance Apprentice had brought up this fact that kind of a lot of his fragrances go in a same direction and there's not a lot of innovation, though there are clearly things that are innovative. And I saw that with Unicorn, but now that I've smelled Hard Candy, it's like, okay, has he just gone around to a lot of popular DNAs and made his version of it? We'll have to see in the future. But nonetheless, this is a good fragrance and I really loved Unicorn and I'm excited to hopefully get my hands on some stuff in the future. So definitely like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can stay informed on all the episodes dropping literally multiple times a day, every single day of the week. So with that being said, ATH Hard Candy was a solid 8 for me, and I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. Peace.